Okay, thank you, Ian. I'll talk a little bit more about that. Perhaps just do a little bit of introduction to myself. I see myself as I've had a lifelong learning journey. Education, I did a degree at Monash, economics and accounting, but I think it's everything that's happened since then has enhanced what I learned and brought that into an experience. So I see myself as learning by experiencing and doing it. And unbelievably, and I decided with this project that we should write a book, which to me was beyond belief that we could do that, but we did. Because what happened here was magic. It was spiritual. It was something very special. And we had a lot of conversation around why did it happen. I've been a career consultant. I've never done less in a project, but created more. So there was something very magic for me. The idea being, change management's not needed. Change management's needed over here because we're trying to affect the will of the people and manipulate and evolve too late. All sorts of things go on here that means resistance exists. Here, no resistance. That was the amazing thing about this process. There was no resistance. They wanted it faster than we could help them create it. And it was a magic environment. So that's the challenge, and it's a significant one for people. I'm a consultant, change management's a term you hear. I don't think it's needed in the new world. Okay? It's needed to transition from here to here, perhaps. If you're there, it's got a challenge. But Ian was like this, they moved to this. So what's the leadership style that would enable us to be our best and organisations to be our best? Let me quickly, I think leadership is about setting strategic direction or intent. Why do we exist? I need to link why I exist with the organisations. What is it we want to do? And how are we going to do it in terms of values and behaviours? And those things should drive every single moment in organisational life by, is this consistent with our values and behaviours? So this is lived values and behaviours on the ground every day, every single meeting is the congruent organisation. And that's what we strove for here. Didn't mean we were perfect, but the human condition says we make mistakes. So if we're all clear about our intention, let's keep going. And I think it's about a continuum. Leadership's about a continuum between power and trust. And the past has been full of the power end of the scale, okay? So organisations and leadership has been with power. And I think what happens here, we move from command and control to a peer-based, I'm responsible, I'm free to act. Once I make a commitment, you can trust me. And in a high trust environment, incredible things happen. And that's in effect what we as consultants created and held, and Ian held as the CEO. And what happened in that environment was phenomenal. So I think that's one of the challenges, and it's probably different from the digital economy, because the human condition is still the human condition and we've still got big egos. And how do we work with parking the ego at the door? We don't want to put on our professional mask when we go to work. We want to be a human being like we are with our children at home and our partners, and be that same person at work. And in here, we were that, okay? And it was quite an amazing thing that we were in a development process and everyone was in that development process. So, you know, working in groups is a real challenge for leadership rather than working by myself. So independence to interdependence, from me to we. So that's the picture that we created here from me. I need to look after myself to here. If I look after myself and everybody else, we will all benefit. And that's what actually happened. Ian didn't mention, but in the first year, these two fellas left the project. They didn't make it, okay? They were asked to leave because they abused the system. They didn't work in a way that was consistent with the intention. I loved that. I didn't know they were sacked. Ian and his construction manager did that because they weren't consistent. And I thought it was a wonderful moment because everybody else saw this was real. That if you don't do the right thing, there is a consequence. And consequences are, every day we face consequences, whatever they might be. So we need a better decision-making method, and we need to move away from command and control to more collaborative methods. And Ian mentioned this open centre. So that's what this methodology is, an open centre where expert steps in and out. If the expert doesn't want to step in, we invite them. So that's important. We're asked to bring our multiple intelligences to work. So our intellect, our emotion, our social and our spiritual. And the whole human being is invited here. One of the things that we identified is in our book. There's a book called Reinventing Organisations. So it's by a fellow called Frederick Laloux. Ian and I had dinner with him about 2 weeks ago. It was an incredible experience. He's a young man, 42, and this book is changing the world from what I can see. So in Europe and America, the uptake is amazing. He had been to see a CEO of 150,000 people in France, an energy company, and she said, I want this, and I want it now. And so he's doing some amazing things. And just to sort of reiterate what they are, he articulates, and we articulated this change in style from a hub and spoke manager, where no one's connected, to connecting the team, step 2, and then step 3 was this open centre, which is what we created here. So this became our method for the whole project. So what Frederick talks about, and we realised that there's a link with our book and there's a bit of a zeitgeist in terms of consciousness. He talks about creating organisations inspired by the next stage of human consciousness. Now that's a big mouthful, but I think it's real. And there are organisations in here that are incredible. And the 3 things they do is that they work to self-management. So you don't need a boss for you to do what your job is. I'm responsible for it and I'm free to act within that domain, and we're nurturing that responsibility. This is what we did here. Our one value that drove this was we do what we say. So whatever someone said, they had to hold themselves to it. The second one is wholeness. So the whole human being has to come to work. No professional mask. The third one is evolutionary purpose. And that means that the organisation has a purpose beyond people. Okay, so it's a concept of a living organisation. He talks about budgets not really adding value. Why don't we just work with the current reality in the complex world we're in? So what we found was that there was a link between his book and the research he did and our book, and that's why we had dinner together, and we were very inspired in that process because some really significant change seems to be happening. That's enough for me. Thank you.